Welcome back to FlyEaglesFly News, where the latest Eagles updates land first and fast. Today's topic is one that has been heating up the off-season chatter for weeks now, and honestly, it is the kind of storyline that makes Eagles fans both excited and nervous at the same time. We are still waiting for the team to name their next offensive coordinator, and the search has dragged on longer than most people expected. Everyone assumed this would be settled months ago. But here we are, still trying to figure out who will take over an offense that has looked inconsistent and messy at times, and now, with the latest update, a familiar name has popped up in the mix, which is enough to make any fan pause and start thinking about what this could mean for the future of the offense. The new development is that the Eagles reportedly interviewed Matt Nagy for the offensive coordinator role. Now, that is a name that is not unfamiliar to Philadelphia fans. And it is a name that brings a lot of mixed feelings. Nagy has a history in the league that includes some big highs and some very public lows, and he has been involved with the Eagles before in his coaching journey. Most people remember him as the former head coach of the Chicago Bears from 2018 to 2021, and more recently as the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs under Andy Reid from 2023 to 2025. The Chiefs, however, seem to be moving on from Nagy and bringing back Eric Bieniemy to lead the offense, which basically means Nagy is now officially a free agent in coaching terms. What makes this situation even more intriguing is the context around Nagy's recent coaching path. He was a finalist for the Tennessee Titans head coaching job, and many people expected him to land that role, but the Titans ultimately hired Robert Saleh, leaving Nagy without that opportunity, so now he is back on the market. And the Eagles have a clear opening that matches his experience, but this is not just about filling a vacancy. The Eagles are trying to find someone who can bring a new identity to an offense that has struggled to find consistency. That is why this search has become so prolonged, and why every name that enters the conversation sparks intense debate among fans. Looking at Nagy's background, it is easy to see why the Eagles would consider him. He has strong ties to the region, having grown up in Pennsylvania near Lancaster and attending Manheim Central High School. He played college football at Delaware as a quarterback, and his coaching career is closely tied to Andy Reid. Nagy started with the Eagles as an intern back in 2008 and 2009, then moved up the ladder to become an assistant coach in offensive quality control. When Reid moved to Kansas City, Nagy followed him, eventually becoming the quarterback coach, then offensive coordinator, and later the head coach in Chicago. So there is a long history within the Reid coaching tree, and that kind of familiarity is valuable in Philadelphia, especially when the team is looking to reshape its offensive identity. But the real question is whether he is the right person to lead this Eagles offense. When you look at his numbers, the answer is not straightforward. In the 8 seasons where Nagy has served as either a head coach or offensive coordinator, his offenses have averaged around 19th in total yards and 18th in points. That is not exactly elite, and it is not the kind of dominance you want from a coordinator in a team that is trying to win a Super Bowl. His time with the Bears began with a strong year in 2018, where they ranked 21st in yards and 9th in points, but after that, the results declined sharply. In 2019, the Bears finished 29th in both yards and points, and the trend continued in 2020 and 2021. Where they were consistently in the bottom half of the league in both categories. To be fair, Nagy did those numbers with quarterbacks who were not exactly franchise cornerstones. Mitch Trubisky was never the long-term answer, and Nick Foles, who Eagles fans remember fondly from the Super Bowl run, struggled outside of Philadelphia. And then there was Justin Fields, who showed flashes of brilliance but never fully developed into the player many expected. So in that context, the fact that Nagy went 34-31 as a head coach is somewhat impressive, given the instability at quarterback and the uneven roster he had to work with. Still, being a competent head coach is not the same as being a great offensive coordinator, and that is where the debate really starts. For my part, I do not hate the idea of the Eagles interviewing Nagy. He brings experience, he understands the system, and he has coached one of the best quarterbacks in the league. But I do not think he should be the final choice for offensive coordinator. The main concern is his track record as a play caller at the NFL level. There were times when his play calling was questionable, and even during his time with the Chiefs, where he enjoyed success, it is hard to separate that from the fact that he was working with Patrick Mahomes and under the guidance of Andy Reid. The bigger question is whether Nagy can take full control of an offense and truly make it his own, or if he would simply become another coordinator heavily influenced by the head coach's philosophy. Another major factor in this search is the current structure in Philadelphia. Nick Sirianni is the head coach, and he has been flexible during this process. He has shown a willingness to adapt and to explore different schemes, which is important because the Eagles have some major roster questions that will shape the next offensive identity. The quarterback situation with Jalen Hurts is obviously the biggest factor, but there are also questions about A.J. Brown and Lane Johnson. Those players are massive pieces of the offense, and if their health or futures are uncertain, it affects how any coordinator can design a system. This is a franchise that wants to win now, and any coordinator coming in has to be able to maximize the current roster. Then there is the issue of autonomy. Many offensive coordinators want full control over play calling, scheme design, and even the running game. But the Eagles already have one of the most respected offensive line coaches in the NFL, Jeff Stoutland, who also serves as the run game coordinator. The Eagles are not going to let Stoutland go or give up that part of the offense, because he has been a foundational figure in their success. So any coordinator who wants to bring in their own staff or take over the run game will likely hesitate before accepting the job. That is a major reason why this search has been so complicated, and why some candidates may have already declined the opportunity. At the same time, the Eagles are not just being difficult for no reason. This is a franchise that has been aggressive in building a championship contender, but they are also smart and calculated. They understand the stakes of hiring a coordinator, and they know that rushing into a decision could be reckless. It is not the same as hiring a CEO in another industry, but the philosophy is similar. They want the right person, not just the first person who says yes. And that is why the search is taking longer than many fans would like. So, the Eagles are casting a wide net and interviewing multiple candidates, and Nagy is just one of the names that keeps popping up. The interesting part is that some of the top candidates have already turned down the job, which adds another layer of complexity to this search. Mike McDaniel, for example, was linked to the Eagles early on and was rumored to be a top choice, but he ultimately accepted the offensive coordinator position with the Los Angeles Chargers. That decision sent a clear message to Eagles fans that the job is not as simple as it looks, and that even coaches who might be interested in the city and the organization are still weighing the pros and cons. Brian Daboll is another name that has been connected to Philadelphia, but he is currently pursuing the Buffalo Bills head coaching job and may not even consider the Eagles if he gets that opportunity. There have been interviews with other candidates as well, including Josh Grizzard, Jim Bob Cooter, Mike Kafka, and Zach Robinson. Among others, some of these names bring experience, some bring innovation, and some bring a combination of both. But the bigger story is not just the names themselves. It is the fact that the Eagles are taking their time and doing this the right way. They are not rushing into a decision just to end the speculation. And that is important because the offensive coordinator is one of the most critical positions on the staff. The Eagles have built a roster designed to win now, and they need someone who can maximize that talent. The offense has been inconsistent, and the team has not reached the level that everyone expected. So the next offensive coordinator has to bring clarity, creativity, and stability to the offense. One name that has been floating around is Bobby Slowick, the former Texans offensive coordinator. Slowick had a breakout rookie season calling plays in Houston, and he learned under Kyle Shanahan and Mike McDaniel. He is a young coach with a creative mind, and he has been somewhat under the radar in this search. He could be a very intriguing option for the Eagles because he brings fresh ideas and has shown he can innovate in a way that fits the modern NFL. Another name is Charlie Weis Jr., the offensive coordinator at LSU. He followed Lane Kiffin to LSU and has been calling plays there. He is a young coach who has experience with a high-powered college offense and could bring a new energy to the Eagles. But the Eagles are not just searching for a coordinator who can design an offense. They are searching for someone who can fit with Nick Sirianni and the culture in Philadelphia. Sirianni has been flexible throughout the search, and he has shown a willingness to adapt and explore different schemes, but he also has a vision for the team, and the next coordinator has to be aligned with that vision. The Eagles are not going to hire someone who is going to completely overhaul the identity of the offense. They want someone who can work within the existing structure, but also bring improvements and new concepts that can elevate the team. That balance is difficult to find, and it is one of the reasons the search has taken longer than expected. Another factor that is often overlooked is the impact of the city of Philadelphia itself. Coaching in Philadelphia is not like coaching in most other cities. The fans are passionate. The media is intense and the pressure is constant. Any coach coming in has to be prepared for that. Some coaches thrive in that environment, but others struggle. The Eagles have to consider not only the coaching ability of a candidate, but also their ability to handle the pressure and remain calm under scrutiny. That is why fit is so important. It is not just about X and O's. It is about temperament, personality, and the ability to lead in a city that demands excellence. While the Eagles are doing this search, they are also dealing with the reality that the roster is not a blank slate. There are questions about the future of A.J. Brown, who has been a key part of the offense but has also dealt with injuries. There are questions about Lane Johnson, who is aging and dealing with his own injury history. Those factors affect how the offense can be built. The next coordinator has to be ready to adapt to those realities and create a plan that works with the roster as it is, not as it could be in a perfect world. That is a challenge, but it is also what makes this job so intriguing. Now, one of the biggest talking points has been the idea that the Eagles are looking for a coordinator who will have full autonomy. But the reality is that full autonomy may not be possible in Philadelphia. The Eagles have a structure that they want to maintain, and they are not going to compromise on certain elements. They want Jeff Stoutland to remain the run game coordinator, and they want the offensive line to continue to be a strength. They want a coordinator who can work within that framework and still find ways to innovate and improve the offense. That is a rare skill, and that is why the search is so complicated. So what does all of this mean for the Eagles moving forward? It means that the team is being deliberate. They are not making a decision based on hype or emotion. They are making a decision based on what is best for the long-term success of the franchise. And if Matt Nagy is part of the conversation, it means the Eagles are looking at experience and familiarity, but they are also weighing the risks. Nagy has shown he can work with great quarterbacks and has been part of successful systems, but he also has a track record that shows inconsistency. And the Eagles have to decide if they are willing to take that risk. FlyEaglesFly News family, smash subscribe and hit like. Your support keeps the freshest Philadelphia Eagles updates flying in. Drop your take in the comments and let's talk birds. In what could be the most jaw-dropping move of the NFL offseason, rumors are swirling that the Philadelphia Eagles and the Indianapolis Colts have agreed to a blockbuster trade that could reshape the league as we know it. Sources close to team management suggest that Eagles general manager Howie Roseman, long known for his bold maneuvers, might have pulled off a deal that no one saw coming. While neither team has confirmed details, insiders hint that this trade involves some of the NFL's top-tier talent and could have ripple effects far beyond the immediate rosters. For months, speculation has surrounded the Eagles' aggressive approach to upgrading their squad, and Roseman appears to have once again demonstrated why he is regarded as one of the league's most cunning executives. Reports indicate that key players from both sides could be on the move, with the Eagles potentially acquiring a star who could dramatically change their offensive strategy, while the Colts might be gaining a player capable of redefining their defensive schemes. Analysts are already debating the implications. Some see it as a calculated risk that could vault Philadelphia into true championship contention, while others warn that chemistry issues could emerge from shaking up to already established lineups. The NFL world is abuzz with speculation, and social media platforms are lighting up with fan reactions ranging from sheer disbelief to excitement over the potential matchups this trade could create. While details remain tightly guarded, one thing seems certain: Roseman is refusing to play it safe, with the league becoming increasingly competitive. Bold moves like this may be exactly what franchises feel they need to stay ahead. If confirmed, this trade could spark a domino effect across the league, prompting other teams to reevaluate their rosters in hopes of keeping pace with the Eagles and Colts. Fantasy football enthusiasts are already trying to guess who will benefit most, and pundits are dissecting every potential scenario. Could this be the move that defines the season? Or is it a gamble too daring for even a savvy GM like Roseman? Only time will tell. But one thing is undeniable: the NFL landscape just got a lot more intriguing, and fans everywhere are holding their breath. That's a wrap from FlyEaglesFly News. If you want the fastest Eagles updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Sound off in the comments. Let's talk birds.